Ya e abetna, shike go shirane, she Annalisa Rockbridge yeshia. Hi everybody, I'm Annalisa Rockbridge. I'm going to be your yoga guide this morning. I'm sorry you guys, I have been trying very hard with the technology and it's winning unfortunately. So at least it gives you time to roll out your mat and decide if you want to do something. So sorry you guys. So getting your blocks or anything that you may need for your practice, belts to support yourself. Allowing for me this bolster to support my right knee. Today I'm going to start with my right shin crossed in front of the left. Hands are going to be onto the knees facing down to send out a little bit of love into this world. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths together. So nice deep breath in through the nose. Rise up through the chest and the sternum. Open mouth, sigh, exhale, let it all go. Let's do that again. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Open mouth, sigh, exhale, let it all go. Very nice. Let's build onto that. Rooting down through the sit bones, take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Rise up with the chest. Pause at the top of the breath. Make some noise as you open mouth, sigh, exhale, and let it all go. Very nice. Let's imprint that into our bodies. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose, rooting down through the sit bones. Let the chest rise up as you pause at the top of your breath. Open mouth, sigh, exhale, let it all go. Let's keep building onto that. Continue to root down through your sit bones, spread across the chest and the collarbones, rise up through the sternum as you take a deep breath in through the nose. Pause at the top of your breath. Sip in just a little bit more air. Open mouth, sigh, exhale, let everything go. Very nice. Let's imprint that into the body. Nice deep breath in through the nose. Pausing at the top of your breath. Choosing just to sip in just a little bit more air. Open mouth, sigh, exhale, let everything go. So nice. So let's move into let's come into a neutral tabletop position. And in this neutral tabletop position, push down at the tops of your feet and then push down into the shins. Allow the hips to stack directly above the knees with a long neutral spine. Have the wrist stacked directly underneath the shoulders. Knees can be about hip distance apart as you gaze back at them. Spread the hands so that all 10 fingers push down into the mat evenly. And with a deep breath in, allow the right foot to extend behind you and extend the left hand straight out in front of you as if you were going to shake somebody's hand. Nice, long, neutral spine. So avoid opening up to that right hip. Continue to draw the right pinky toes down towards the mat. And then continue to draw the lower belly in towards the midline. One more breath here. Maybe you gaze at the edge of your mat. As you exhale, the left hand comes down, the right knee comes down. Pausing in neutral tabletop. I know for this other side, I'm going to need a little bit of padding for my knees for my right meniscus. Choosing to grab a blanket. Coming back into the neutral tabletop position with a nice deep breath in, extending my left knee behind me and my right hand out in front of me. Keep drawing the right pinky toes down towards the mat. Keep drawing the left pinky toes down towards the mat to avoid opening up through the hip. Lower belly is coming in towards the midline. When you're ready to exhale, allow the hand and the knee to come back down into a neutral tabletop position. Again, as you inhale, draw that lower belly in as you push down into your tops of the feet and the tops and the tall 10 fingers. When you're ready, extend the right foot behind you and the left hand in front of you. Extend back all the way through the right heel, as if somebody were pulling on your Achilles tendon. When you're ready, as you exhale, left hand, right knee come down towards the mat. Inhale to draw and find length the size of the waist. As the left foot comes behind you, right hand extends out in front of you. Head stays neutral up the ground, nice long neck here. When you exhale, allow the hand and the knee to come down from neutral tabletop position. Walk your hands out ever so slightly. Tuck your toes and then hover your knees about 1 inch or 2. Just to activate your core for a moment. Pull your hips up and back into your first Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. As you look back at your feet, make sure that the heels display outward so they're tucking behind the second toe. If this morning we woke up with tight hamstrings, maybe we choose to put a deep bend in the knees to allow space in the spine and the sides of the waist, lifting the hips up just a little bit higher into the air. As you peek up at your hands, making sure that all 10 fingers are pushing deeply into the mat. Make sure the pointer fingers are pointing straight forward. If the shoulders are tight this morning, allow the hands to rotate outwards ever so slightly. Continuing to breathe here in your down dog. Doing any rituals you may have, maybe pedaling out your dog, wagging the tail. But finding stillness within your down dog, your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Choosing to walk up to the top of your mat. Allow the hands to interlace on the lower back with the palms ceiling. And let's place the right thumb on top. Keep the hands on the lower back this morning. Maybe put a deep, generous bend in that knees. Shift the weight forward into the toes. And then begin to straighten out the legs any amount that you're comfortable with this morning. Keep drawing the shoulder heads away from the ears in this Uttanasana forward fold. Slide the hands onto the hips with strong legs and strong spine. Rise all the way up into the sky. Okay. So push down into your big toe, push down into your pinky toe. Find the outer edges of your heels. Draw the inner arches up, and then draw the kneecaps up the legs to activate the hamstrings and the thigh muscles. Allow the frontal hip points to draw upwards towards the shoulders, but allow the rib points to draw down towards the hip points to activate a nice strong core for yourself. Pick the back of the ribs up off the waist to make length of the sides of the waist, but allow the shoulder heads to move away from the ears, making space in between the neck. Allowing the hands to either rest gently at the chest in prayer position, or they can anatomically rest beside your waist, palms facing forward. Resting your eyes on a dristi, that is a space in front of you that is not moving. For me, it's my keys in the wall. With your body standing here with all the bones nicely stacked on top of each other, gently close your eyes or choose to maybe set an intention for your practice, the rest of your day, or maybe the rest of your week. Let's begin to flow together. As we inhale for Surya Namaskar A, allow the arms to float forward and above. Grow tall to the sides of the waist. As you exhale, hinge over your thighs for Uttanasana forward fold. Shifting the weight forward into the toes. Draw the hands underneath the legs or the knees. Lean forward into the toes for Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, fold back over the thighs, maybe putting a generous bend in the knee. Right foot steps back, left foot steps back. We're at the top of a push-up. Allow both of the knees to come down towards the mat simultaneously. Bend the elbows halfway for Chaturanga Dandasana. Untuck the body onto the mat. Fan out all 10 toes into your mat. Push down into the tops of the feet. Push down into your pubic bone. And then draw your hands backwards towards your ribs. Draw the elbows in close to each other as you lift the chest and the sternum up. Bhunjani Asana, Baby Cobra. As you exhale, forehead comes down towards the mat. Push up through a neutral tabletop position. Tuck the toes, lift the knees and hover them for a moment. Pull the hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. In this down dog, choosing to take maybe 2 to 3 breaths, allowing the exhales to continue to lengthen to meet the inhales. And then when you're ready, let's step the right foot up to the right hand, left foot steps up. Inhale, come up halfway with a long spine for Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, fold back over the thighs. Inhale to stand all the way up into the sky. As you exhale, the hands come in towards the chest for Samastitihi. Let's do that again. As we inhale, float the arms forward and above. Pinky leads for full external rotation through the shoulders. Palms face each other at the top of the head. Pick the back of the ribs up off the waist. As you exhale, Uttanasana, forward fold. Straightening out the legs any amount as you shift the weight forward into your toes. As you inhale, draw the hands underneath, pulling the shoulder heads away from the ears. Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, the left foot steps back and then the right foot steps back. We're at the top of a push-up. Let's come forward to the tops of our toes. Pull the frontal hip points up towards the shoulder heads. Pull the chest and the sternum through the arms and keep our gaze at the edge of the mat. Bending the elbows halfway for Chaturanga Dandasana, flipping over the tops of the feet. Keep the hips lifted as you lift the sternum and the chest. Push down into your pointer finger and thumbs to protect your wrist. Micro bend in the elbows to pull the shoulder heads away from the ears. Ardha Mukha Svanasana. Keep pulling the pubic bone up towards the forehead. As you exhale, pull the hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Continuing to take 2 to 3 deep breaths here in this downward facing dog. Looking up at the hands, and when you're ready, the left foot steps up, then the right foot steps up. As we inhale, come up halfway with a long spine, Ardha Uttanasana. The gaze stays straight down at the floor in front of us. Exhale, folding back over the thighs. Maybe a micro bend in the knees to stand all the way up into the sky. As we exhale, hands come in towards the chest center, Samastitihi. Very nice, you guys. Let's add on to that, Surya Namaskar, B. As we inhale, sink the hips down into the heels. Look down at the toes. Make sure you can see all 10 of the little piggies. If you can't, draw the shins backwards and then sink just a little bit deeper into your hips. Draw the tailbone down towards the mat by picking the hip points up. Draw the chest and the sternum up through the sky, and then allow the arms to float out in front of your ears or next to your ears. Sink just a little bit deeper in this Utkatasana chair pose. As you exhale, keep the bend in the knees, folding over and then straightening out your legs for Uttanasana, forward fold. Shift the weight forward as you inhale, lift the chest and the sternum up halfway for Ardha Uttanasana. Choosing to hop, step, or jump back, landing in a Chaturanga Dandasana position. As you inhale, finding your back bend, Ardha Mukha Svanasana for me. As you exhale, pulling the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Looking up at the hands, Stepping the right foot up to the right thumb, sealing the back of the edge of the mat with the left foot. Draw up through the left inner arch, and then choose to walk this right foot over ever so slightly towards the right. Pull the right hip back, and then with an inhale, let's float our body up into the sky. Virabhadrasana 1. Continuing to grow long through the sides of the waist by picking the back of the ribs up off the waist. Maybe the palms seal for a breath or two. When you're ready, let's exhale. The same breath rises all the way down through Chaturanga Dandasana. You're welcome to skip every Chaturanga and every Vinyasa. Inhaling through your back bend. And then meeting us through Downward Facing Dog. Looking up at the left hand, stepping the left foot up to the left thumb, sealing the back of the mat with the right foot, drawing the left hip in towards the midline, and then rising up through Virabhadrasana 1. Keep drawing that left hip up towards the sky. Keep drawing the inner right thigh up towards the sky, drawing that left hip back so the left knee stacks above the left ankle. Draw the tailbone down, lifting up to the chest and the sternum. Maybe we seal the palms and look up at the thumbs. Exhaling all the way down through Chaturanga Dandasana. Skipping them all together and choosing just to meet us in Down Dog. Everyone is just an offering. Taking 2 to 3 deep breaths here in our Downward Facing Dog, recognizing the heat that we're making within our body. When you're ready, choosing to hop, step, or jump to the top of the mat. As we inhale, come up halfway with a long spine. Exhaling, sending the hips into the heels, lifting the chest and the sternum up into the sky for Utkatasana chair. Hands come into the chest as you straighten out the legs, Samastitihi. Very nice. Let's do that one more time. So, sinking the hips into the heels, lifting the hands next to the ears, Utkatasana chair. Making sure you can see all 10 of the toes, if not, sinking the hips a little bit further down. Nice deep breath to fill up the chest, and then keep the bend in the knees as you exhale, fold over your thighs. Uttanasana. Inhale to draw your hands up with a long spine, pulling the shoulder heads away from each other and away from the ears. Hop, step, or choosing to move through your Vinyasa, or skipping it all together, meeting us in Downward Facing Dog. Stepping the right foot up, sealing the back of the mat for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. The same breath rises all the way back down through Chaturanga Dandasana if you're moving through a Vinyasa. Left foot steps up for Virabhadrasana 1 on the left. As you exhale, left foot steps back, Chaturanga Dandasana, or skipping it all together. Pausing in Down Dog for 2 to 3 breaths. Hop, stepping, or jumping to the top of the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, sink the hips into the heels, Utkatasana chair pose. Keep drawing that lower belly in as you hands come into the chest and straighten out the legs, Samastitihi. Very good. So, I need a drink, sorry. Let's continue to move. With an inhale, allow the hands to come out to the side. Keep growing tall through the sides of the waist by hinging over your thighs, Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale to draw up halfway with the long spine, Ardha Uttanasana. choosing to hop, step, or jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana, or skipping it all together. Every day your body is different. Some days you wake up with more energy than the others. So honor yourself and your body. Right foot steps up to the right hand. Seal the back of the mat with your left foot. Draw the right hip back as you rise up through Virabhadrasana 1. Walking the right foot over towards the left, making a heel to arch alignment. Hands come out to the side. Pull the body off of the right thigh to stack the shoulders above the hips. Look back and make sure you're sealing the back of the mat and pull up through the inner arch. As your hands are out to a T, gaze over your right middle finger. Maybe peek down at your right toe. Make sure you can see your second toe. If you can't, draw your right knee towards your right pinky toe. Maybe put a little bit deeper bend in that right knee. Drawing back through the left hand to spread across the chest and the collarbones. When you're ready, extend your hand past your right foot and place your right hand on the outside of your right ankle. Left hand floats up into the sky. At the same time, let's all draw that right hip underneath us. It has a tendency to want to pop out without actually moving the hand that's on the floor. Externally rotate. So draw the biceps forward and the triceps back. Keep drawing across the chest and the collarbones. Maybe pull the forehead away from the midline and look up at the ceiling. One more breath here. In our Utthita Parsvakonasana. Let's push up and pass through our Virabhadrasana 2, our Warrior 2. Cartwheel the hands down to frame the right foot. Pull the right foot back without scraping it across your mat. And then choose to move it through a Vinyasa or skip it all together. Choosing to step the left foot up to the left hand and sealing the right foot at the back of the mat. Coming up through Virabhadrasana 1 on the left side. Walking that left foot over to the right and then slicing the air in half with your arms. Keep drawing that left hip under as you keep your gaze maybe down at the left pinky toe or left second toe. If you don't see that second toe, draw that knee towards the pinky. Reach back with your right hand to spread across the chest and the collarbones. Trust that you're in your Vira 2 and breathe. As you extend past your left foot, maybe your left forearm comes onto your left thigh or choosing to place it on the block behind your left foot. Drawing that right hand up into the sky. Push the left knee into your left shoulder and then resist your knee with your shoulder, so simultaneously resisting. At the same time, let's all find length by taking an inhale and drawing our forehead away from the midline. As we exhale, maybe get that belly and the chest to rotate up towards the sky. One more breath here. Let's pass through our Virabhadrasana 2 with strong legs, trusting we're in our Vira 2. Cartwheel the hands down. Choose to move it through a Vinyasa or skip it all together. Hop, step, or jump to the top of the mat. Inhale, come up halfway with the long spine, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, fold back over the thighs. Inhale to stand all the way up into the sky. This time, let's seal our palms to the top of our head and look up at our thumbs. As you exhale, hands come in towards the chest, Samastitihi. Very nice, you guys. So let's take a nice wide step out to the right. Making sure there's about 4 feet of room underneath us. Let's drop the heels backwards so that the toes are pointing in. Hands come onto the hips for a moment. Let's take a nice deep breath to draw up to the chest and the sternum. And then when you're ready, let's exhale, fold over the thighs. Allow the hands to come onto the mat or the floor, stacking underneath your shoulders. Let's all lean forward into our toes using our hands on the floor as traction. Start walking your hands back to meet the heel of your feet. If they don't line up, that's completely fine. But draw the elbows in towards each other. And then continue to shift forward into your toes. Again, the top of the head doesn't have to touch the mat. If you want to work on your tripod later on in the practice, or your headstand, you would want to start working towards that, but it's not necessary. Keep shifting the weight forward, drawing the elbows in and pulling the shoulder heads away from the ears. Walking the hands forward, lifting the chest up halfway on an inhale. Hands come onto the hips and then rise all the way up to the sky. Hi everybody, good. So let's, from deep within our right hip socket, externally rotate our right thigh, knee, shin, and foot out to the right. Hop this left foot in to tighten up your stance, but drop this left heel at a sharp 90-degree angle. If you are a fan of blocks for triangle trikonasana, go ahead and place that behind your right ankle. But let's have our hands come out to a T, draw the hips backwards and reach forward with our right hand as much as possible. Let's keep reaching forward with our right hand until it lands onto the right shin. Left hand floats up into the sky. Push down into your right big toe. Maybe put a micro bend in that right knee. As we inhale, find length through the sides of the waist, so grow tall to the sides. Pull the forehead away from the midline. And then as you exhale, maybe we can get the chest and the belly to rotate up towards the sky. Continuing to breathe through all of these poses. If your mind begins to wander, that's completely natural and normal. One more breath here. Looking down at your right pinky toe, place your hand 6 to 12 inches past your right pinky toe by putting a deep bend in your right knee. Let's float our left leg up behind us and draw that right hip underneath us. If you're a fan of your block, go ahead and travel with your block. If you have your balance, maybe you look down at your body and see the left toes. Continue to spread across the chest and the collarbones in your Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. One more breath here. How gracefully can we move back into our Trikonasana triangle pose? Rise up. Strong legs, strong spine. Parallel the feet out. And then from deep within our hip socket, let's externally rotate that left thigh, knee, shin, and foot 90 degrees. And then hop this right foot in, setting up for triangle on this side. Spreading the hands out to a T, pulling the hips backwards as you lean forward and reach out with your left hand. Everybody and every side is different. Maybe one side is more open than the other. On my left side, I definitely need a block. My hand comes down onto the block as I lift my right hand up into the sky. I don't dump my weight into that left hand, but I draw up with my right hand as I pull the forehead away from the midline. Continue to push down into your left big toe to keep a micro bend in that left knee. Breathing across the chest, breathing across the collarbones. Let's look down at the floor. Look at the left pinky toe. If you have your block, let's travel with it by putting a deep bend in that left knee. If not, let's just place your hand 6 to 12 inches past your left pinky toe and lift the right foot up behind you for Ardha Chandrasana. With an inhale, find length of the sides of the waist. And then as you exhale, turn your chest and your belly over to the side of the wall. Continue to breathe here. Draw that left hip underneath you. How gracefully can we move back into our triangle pose, Trikonasana? Just passing through for a moment. Strong legs right us back up into the sky. Paralleling those feet out so that the heels drop backwards. This time the hands come onto the hips. As you lift up to the chest and the sternum, as you exhale, hinge over your thighs, keeping your hands on the hips. If the top of the head easily touches the floor, heel toe your feet together ever so slightly so that it shortens your stance. And then interlace your hands behind you. If the palms do not touch when you interlace, use your belt or your strap or your towel as an extension. But everybody at the same time, let's lean forward into our toes to make sure that we are receiving an adduction stretch. The inner thighs are being stretched. Putting a micro bend in the elbows and then lifting the hands up off of the lower back. As we lean forward, pull the shoulder heads up and away from the ears. Prasarita Padottanasana D, I believe. One more breath here. Hands come down onto the floor to rise up on an inhale. As you exhale, hands come onto the hips and lift up into the sky. Very nice, you guys. Let's take a nice big step up to the top of the mat. If you are a fan of having a belt for the Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana series, I invite you to grab that now. But let's find the four corners of our feet. Shift over into that left foot. So anchor down into that left foot as much as you can. Lift the right knee up into the chest, but don't let the right hip take a free ride. Drop that right hip down and pull the left thigh straight back so you have a left strong standing leg. Choose to interlace your hands around your right knee. We're not skiing, so we're not leaning back here. We're continuing to draw up to the sternum and the tailbone draws down towards the mat. Choose to either interlace around the big toe and extend it out straight out in front of you, or to use your belt, looping it around the large mound of your toes, dropping the right hip down, pulling the left thigh back. With an inhale, pulling the back of the ribs up off the waist, finding length through all sides of the body. As you exhale, extend the right leg out to the side and pull the left hand out to the left. The right leg isn't going to open up completely. It's not anatomically possible. Standing up straight here still, continuing to breathe. When you're ready, as you exhale, the left hand comes onto the outer right knee. The right hand comes straight behind you. Keep lifting up to the chest and the sternum. And then as you exhale, unwinding so both hands come up into the sky, and with an inhale, exhaling the left foot straight, right foot straight out in front of you. Keep it lifted for 3, 2, 1. Right foot steps down to meet the left. Hands come in towards the chest, Samastitihi. Picking up your strap again, choosing which variation you would like to do on this left side. So let's anchor our weight down into that right foot. Choosing which interlacing we're going to do on the left side. Remembering that our body is different on each side, so one side might be more open than the other. Don't allow the left hip to take that free ride. Extend the hand straight out in front of you, or in front, up above you, pulling that right thigh straight back. Just grow tall to the crown of the head. When you're ready, as we exhale, open up to the left hand. Right hand comes out to the right. When you're ready, let's exhale so that the right hand comes onto the outer left knee. The left hand comes straight behind you. Keep growing up tall to the sides of the waist. And then with every exhale, trying to deepen or twist, maybe just a little bit more by turning your gaze to the back of your hand. Inhale to find length. Both hands rise up in front of you. The left foot stays lifted in front of you for 3, 2, 1. As you exhale, left foot steps down, hands come straight down the center, Samasthiti. Very good, you guys. Let's stick with it for a little bit longer. So let's sink our, at the top of the mat, if you're having a little bit of a tight lower back this morning, maybe choose to have the feet at hip distance apart. If you're okay with the lower back this morning, big toes touch with a sliver of space in the heels. Draw the kneecaps up to activate the hamstrings and the thighs. Draw the tailbone down towards the mat and sink the hips into the heels. Keep drawing that lower belly in towards the midline. And then draw this chest and the sternum up. Maybe the arms lift up next to your ears in Utkatasana chair pose. As you exhale, hands come into the chest and the left elbow crosses over the right thigh for twisting chair. Looking down at your knees, maybe choosing to pull that left hip back so the knees line up and straight. Inhaling to find length, pulling the forehead away from the hands. And then exhaling, allowing the belly and the chest to rotate up to the sky, maybe using the elbow as leverage. The neck is always the easiest thing to turn, so maybe taking a gaze past your right shoulder. As you exhale, folding over your thighs, straightening out your legs, leaning forward and lifting up your chest halfway for Ardha Uttanasana on an inhale. As you exhale, choosing to hop, step, or jump back into your Vinyasa or skipping it all together. Inhale to find your back bend. And then as we exhale, pulling the hips up and back, downward facing dog. From down dog, let's step that right foot up to the right thumb, staying on the left toes. Pull the right hip back and then lift up through Anjaneyasana, crescent pose. There can be a micro bend in the back knee if you need to. Hands come into the chest and extend your torso over your right thigh. With a deep breath, let's take a nice deep breath in to find length. As we exhale, left elbow comes onto the right thigh, and then we come into a crescent twist. Let's all pull that right hip back. It has a tendency to want to pop out. Pull the forehead away from the midline. If at any time you need to come down onto that left knee, pull that left thigh backwards so that you can open up across the chest and the collarbones. When you're ready, let's allow both hands to come down towards the mat. Step that left foot up to meet the right. With an inhale, lift up halfway on an inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. As you exhale, hips come into the heels, lift up Utkatasana chair. Exhale, hands come into the chest, right elbow crosses over that left thigh. Prayer twist, chair twist. Again, pull looking down at your knees and maybe pulling back your left hip to make sure that the knees are in line with each other. Always finding inhales to lengthen, exhales to deepen the twist. One more breath here, keeping the bend in the knees. As you exhale, fold over your thighs to straighten them out. Inhale to draw your hands under your knees, Ardha Uttanasana. Choosing to hop, step, or jump back, moving through your version of a vinyasa, or skipping it all together. Stepping the left foot up to the left hand. Staying onto the right toes, pulling the left hip back. Rising up through crescent pose. Hands come into the chest and extend over your left thigh. Right elbow comes onto the left thigh as you exhale. Inhale to find length at the sides of the waist, growing tall. And then exhaling, deepening the twist any way that you can by pulling the left hip back. Maybe taking the gaze over your left shoulder. If you modify on the right side, make sure you do the same thing on this side. As you exhale, hands come down towards the mat. Pick up the right knee if you have it down. Step the left foot back. Choose to move it through your vinyasa or just skip it all together, meeting us in downward facing dog. From our down dog, let's shift forward into plank pose. Draw back through the heels by pulling the frontal hip points up and the sternum through the chest and the arms. Keep the gaze at the edge of the mat as you roll onto the outer edge of your right foot. Push down into your right hand as you lift your left hand up into the sky. Vashisthasana side plank. If at any time you need to drop that right knee down and extend the left foot out, go ahead and do that. One more breath, find length. As you exhale, come into plank pose, pausing for a breath or two. And then preparing to come onto the left side of the outer edge of your left foot. Vashisthasana side plank on the left. And then coming down onto that knee, if that's what you took as a modification on the right side. Remember that we always want to choose to modify only if we need to. Never choosing to modify just because it's the easier of the two. But some days we just don't have that energy, and that's where we have to honor our bodies and ourselves and not push through every chaturanga. Come back through plank pose. Pull your hips up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. So there's that balance that we always have to take within ourselves and be honest with ourselves. Some days we wake up and we're like, ooh, 10 hours of sleep, a nice good meal last night, I'm ready to do all the chaturangas. Let's step through our hands and then come onto our buttocks. Sitting onto our buttocks with our feet planted onto the floor, allow the hands to come either onto the shins and then pull the chest and the sternum through the arms so that you take out the lower arch in your lower back or the curvature of your lower back. Sit tall through the chest, root down to the sit bones. And then when you're ready, maybe choosing to lift the legs up into the sky and then placing your hands behind your knees. Continuing to find that nice balance on the edge of your sacrum. With an inhale, let's lower down halfway by keeping our shoulder heads and our feet hovering up off of the mat. As we exhale, lifting our knees into our chest, rising up halfway. Ardha Navasana. No, this is Navasana. Inhale, lengthen out your legs, lengthen out your chest for Ardha Navasana. As you exhale, pull your knees into your chest. Inhale, Ardha Navasana. Find length by hovering the hands, the chest, or the shoulder heads, and the feet off the mat. Exhaling, lifting the knees into the chest and the body into the sky. Navasana. Inhale, Ardha Navasana. Finding length. Exhale, coming up. Oh my gosh, my back's gonna do one of those. I don't want to go down all the way because my back's gonna do one of those farting sounds because I have a backless shirt on. But you guys know what this means. When we come to the end of our practice, we're not at the end, but when we come towards the end, we like to wear out the rest of our core muscles that we have because we don't need to use them for every chaturanga, every Adho Mukha Svanasana, and so forth. Okay, allowing the feet to come down towards the mat. Coming down onto your backs, resting down, walking the feet back towards your buttocks so that the heels line up underneath the knees and that they are at hip distance apart. Let's push them to the tops of our thighs for a moment just to release the lower back if we can. Anchor down into your feet, anchor down into your hands next to your waist. Push down into your hands and your feet so that you lift your sacrum and your spine up off of the mat. Let's just come into our first Setu Bandha Sarvangasana bridge pose and see how we feel at this point. The mind might begin to wander, and that's completely natural, completely normal. But if it does, just recognize it's moved away from your breath. Let's lower down onto our buttocks, articulating our spine one vertebrae at a time. And so let's do that again. Let's have our feet at hip distance apart, stacking the ankles under the knees, pushing down into the hands and the feet so much we can lift our sacrum and our spine up off of the mat. Maybe you choose to draw your right shoulder and then your left shoulder underneath you, grabbing onto either the outer edges of your mat or interlacing your hands underneath you. If you choose to interlace your hands underneath you, maybe placing the right thumb on top, pushing down into your hands and feet, lifting up through the pubic bone, and then spreading across the chest and the collarbones. Alexa skip. Taking 1 to 2 breaths here in this Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. When you're ready, allow your body to roll down towards the mat, resting your hips on top of your wrists, maybe giving yourself a little massage, letting go of the release of the hands, setting up again for our last Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. If you have blocks and you want to do a restorative, go ahead and lift up onto your block, placing the block underneath your sacrum and just resting on there for the last bridge pose. If you like, go ahead and lift up into your last bridge. This time, if you choose to interlace your hands underneath you, choose to roll your shoulders, but this time place one finger over, so the non-habitual way, and then place your left thumb on top. With each deep breath in, maybe coming back to your intention at the beginning of the practice as we come towards the end of our practice. Lowering down either on top of your wrist or just lowering off of your block completely. Pausing here in your bridge pose or in your back. And then when you're ready, with an inhale, draw your knees up in towards the sky. Extend your hands out to the side and place your palms facing down onto the floor. If you don't have the room next to you, place your hands palms facing up on the floor. Allow the knees to drop over towards the right. Keep the shoulder heads and the left shoulder in contact with the mat to spread across the entire chest. As you inhale, maybe take your right hand and place it on your left knee. As you exhale, maybe you turn your gaze over towards that left hand. Inhale, breathing into the left ribs, finding length with every pose. Maybe extending your left foot out, grabbing onto it with the right hand. Exhaling just a little bit deeper through the midsection, turning your gaze ever so slightly towards that left hand. Inhale to draw both knees up in towards center, drawing that left hip underneath you and allowing both knees to come onto the left. Inhale, finding length as the left hand rests onto the right knee. Exhaling through the midsection and turning the gaze over towards the right hand. As we inhale, maybe choose to extend that right leg into that left hand. Exhaling a little bit deeper into that right hand. As you inhale, drawing both knees up in towards the chest. Pushing onto the tops of your feet ever so slightly. And as you inhale, draw the right ankle over the left knee. This is a beautiful stretch right here in your left hip. If you're looking for a deeper stretch, keep the head and shoulders on the mat. Inhale, draw the left knee in towards the chest and choose to interlace either around the left shin or behind the left knee. Extend the right elbow onto the right knee and then maybe shift the weight ever so slightly onto that left hip. At the same time, we're all going to inhale to flex that right foot back towards the knee cap. And finding length to the sides of the waist always. And then exhale, maybe choosing to draw the left leg in a little bit closer towards the chest. Maybe recognizing and noticing how your heart rate has completely lowered. You're able to extend your exhale a little bit longer to meet the inhales. And then when you're ready, as you exhale, let go of the left thigh, let the left foot come down towards the mat, and then the right foot. As you inhale, draw the left ankle over the right knee, pausing for a moment. Let's flex through that left foot as we choose to either interlace around or under our right knee. Maybe recognizing and honoring which side is a little bit more open or tight than the other today. Keep flexing that right foot and maybe shifting over onto the hip ever so slightly. Allowing both feet to come down towards the mat. Again, resting in this position with this neutral spine, neutral pelvis. Maybe gently pushing onto the top of your thighs to release your lower back. Let's bring our hands underneath our knees and then choose to roll up, rock and roll up the length of our spine until we come into a seated position. Extend both legs out in front of you and then dorsiflex your feet. So draw the toes back towards your face. So you're going to have the dorso to torso. Push down into your hands so that you root down into the hands to rebound up through the chest. But don't pop out the frontal hip points. Continue to activate your core. Keep drawing those frontal hip points down towards the frontal rib points. Instead of collapsing forward, let's draw those shoulder heads and open up across the chest and the collarbone. Taking a nice deep breath here in our Dandasana position. As we inhale, float the arms up and above our head, finding length, picking up the back of the ribs off the waist. Inhale. As you exhale, fold gently over your thighs, interlacing your hands either at your shins, the mat, or around your feet. As you find length to the sides of the waist on an inhale, exhale, fold in towards your legs for Paschimottanasana. Alexa, repeat.
Repeat the stream.
Alexa, stop. Keep drawing the hips backwards. Keep drawing the chest and the sternum through the arms as you inhale. Halfway up, find length. Exhale, let go of whatever it is you're holding on to and come on towards your back. As you roll onto your back, allow the right foot to roll out towards the right and the left foot to roll out towards the left. Allowing the hands, the right hand to rest gently on towards the belly and let the left hand rest onto the chest next to the heart. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And then open mouth side exhale into our final pose of the day, Shavasana. Out of all the poses that we did on the mat today, the hardest part of today was showing up, but you've already done that. Let this be the pose you want to master. Let this be the pose that we choose to be familiar with so we're able to spend these moments by ourselves. Nice deep breath in the nose. Feel how maybe the chest rises up and the lower belly, the solar plexus, lowers down towards the floor. As you exhale, lengthening them out to meet the next inhale, maybe feel or realize how the belly gently rises up and then lowers back down. Again, maybe choosing to take a deep breath in, this time letting the belly raise all the way up into the sky. Exhaling, letting the belly fall gently down towards the mat. Never forcing any of these breaths, but allowing them to extend to the next. Inhaling here. Maybe feeling how the chest rises up into the sky, the lower belly falls in towards the midline. Exhaling, letting it all go. If your mind begins to wander, it's completely natural and normal. Honor and recognize the thoughts. If your mind begins to wander to a plan, a memory, recognize your thoughts, that they have moved you away from your breath, and then come back to your breath with a nice deep breath in. Maybe feeling how the belly rises up towards the sky. And then as you exhale, allowing the belly to lower down towards the mat, coming back to your breath. With every inhale in through the nose. And gentle sigh exhales, letting it all go. if your mind starts to move you towards a sound in the room or a sensation in your leg, just recognize it's moved away from your breath and come back to your breath. Nice deep breaths in through the nose, filling up the lungs, spreading across the chest. Soft, simple, dry exhales, letting them all go. As you lay here resting in these final moments, maybe choosing to offer gentle movements back into your body. Maybe try taking the right corner of your mouth and extending it to the right earlobe. Taking the left corner of the mouth and extending that to your left earlobe. Maybe licking your lips and allowing the teeth to display as you take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Roll over to your favorite side, allowing your hand to get heavy and resting gently upon Mother Earth. As you root down into Mother Earth, rise up to greet Father Sky for the day, choosing to come into a seated position with the left shin coming in front of you. Let's allow the hands to continue to rest gently either on the thighs or the knees, sealing our practice, continuing to send the love out into the world. The highest light in me sees and honors the highest light in all of you. Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining me this morning for yoga. How awesome is it that we get to do yoga in the middle of the day, or in the middle of the morning. I mean, it's